We're in Parshat Mishpatim. After we receive the 10 Commandments on Shabbat, usually in the Torah, when we read the Torah, a lot of the commandments, a lot of the stories that we read in the Torah is not relevant. Building the tabernacle, all the sacrifices. So Hasidus tells you how it is relevant for today's day and age, but it's not exactly. You have to learn it in a Kabbalistic manner to make it relevant. Davening is for the sacrifices and so on and so forth. It's not exactly the same. But Parashat Mishpatim actually discusses things that are very relevant. We do it every day. These are things that are going to happen to us every day and how we have to deal with them. So we're going to learn it very, very quickly. The Mishpatim are relevant for today, but then we're going to go into the Hasidus of it. So even though it's relevant for today, we're going to go into more of the Kabbalistic ideas behind it. So let's start. We're going to start with the unpaid guardian. There's 4 types of guardians, different kinds of rules for all the guardians. We're going to start with the unpaid. So it starts like this. Ki iten ish el re'ehu kesef o kelim. If I come over to you and I say, here I have a vase, a Ming vase from the Ming dynasty. Here, I'm giving it to you. Lishmor, do me a favor, keep it for me. I'm going on a trip. Keep it for you, Lishmor. Vegunav mi beit haish. And then it was stolen from your house. What do we do with it? What happens now? Who's responsible? Is he responsible? Does he have to give it to me the value back? What's going on over here? So it says, Im lo yimatza ganav. It's easy if you find the thief. If you find the thief, then you know what to do. He has to return the object. You go sue the thief. Well, what happens if you can't find the thief? In most cases, you won't be able to find the thief. So what happens then? V'nikrav ba'al habayit el ha'elokim. So the person, the owner of the house, has to come close to God, means he needs to take an oath. He needs to hold Sefer Torah in his hand, tefillin in his hand, and make an oath. That what? Im lo shalach yado b'melechet re'ehu. That he wasn't negligent with that object. Not that just that it was stolen. He has to say that he wasn't negligent. And once he makes the oath that he wasn't negligent, that's it. He's good. Don't worry about it. He doesn't need to pay. Why? So Rashi says immediately in the beginning, Parasha Rishona ne'emra b'shomer chinam. The first example that we just discussed over here is talking about an unpaid guardian. You never paid him. It was doing you a favor. So because he was doing you a favor, he's not liable. Lefichach patar bo et hagneva. Therefore, he is not liable. Kmo shene'emar, just like it says, vegunav mi beit haish, and it was stolen from the house of the man. Im lo yimatzeh haganav v'nikrav b'bayit l'shvuah, he takes an oath. Lamata shepoter atzmo b'shvuah zo. He learns that if he makes the oath, he doesn't need to pay. So far, we have one type of guardian. It's called shomer chinam. He's not getting wages for his work. A guy on the beach, right? And you have a watch. Says, I'm going to go into the phone. I'm going to go to get a swim here. Take care of my phone. So, and you leave it right over there. Somebody comes and steals it. Is he obligated? So as long as he says, what do you want from me? He says, he also stole my phone, not just your phone. He stole everybody. So he takes an oath. I wasn't negligent. I kept it as well as I kept mine, but the guy stole it. I didn't see. What do you want from me? He makes an oath that he wasn't negligent, and if he wasn't negligent, it's good. He doesn't need to pay. So far, so good? Let's go to the second one. So the second example is going to be with a paid guardian. Paid guardian, it's going to be different rules. He's already getting paid for his guardianship. So it says, Ki iten ish el re'ehu chamor o shor oseh v'chol behema lishmor. A person gave to his friend a donkey, any kind of animal to guard. Umet o nishba o nishba. And what happened to it? It breaks a limb, it gets captured. Something bad happens to it. Ein ro'eh and no one who sees it. Now, it wasn't stolen. If it was stolen, it looks like you're obligated. But over there, it wasn't stolen. Something out of the ordinary happened to it. The guy gave you a mink vase. You put it in your safe, right? You put it in your safe. It was a safe place. Then the guy wants to come back. He comes back. You open the safe, and the vase is broken. Are you liable? He's paying you. He's paying you $100 a day to keep the mink vase. The question is, are you liable now? You put it in a safe. Are you liable? Yes or no? Anybody?
Probably.
So you're saying yes. Yeah, most people say yes, right? But we're going to see over here that he's not going to be exactly liable. He says, En roe, there's nobody who sees. He wasn't negligent. He put it in a good place. There was no negligence over there at all. So it says, what do you do? So it says, Shvuat Hashem tiyeh ben shnehem. There will have to be, he has to take again an oath. The keeper has to take an oath. What's the oath? Im lo shayach yado b'melechet re'u. If it wasn't negligent, if he makes an oath that he wasn't negligent, I guarded it the way it was guarded, it broke. What do you want from me? What do you think? If it broke in the safe, it wouldn't have broken in your house? That's what he's going to say. Just like it broke in my safe, it would have broken in your house. Same thing. Then what do you want me to do? You gave me your animal. You gave me to cow, to guard. I guarded it. I fed it. I gave it to thing, and it died. This is my fault. It would have died in your house also. So therefore, as long as I can show, as I'm willing to make an oath that I guarded it the right way, right? ולקח בעליו ולא ישלם. So he doesn't have to pay. ואם גנוב ויגנב מעמו, but if somebody came and stole it, now it's a different ruling. Why did he give you money for? He gave you money to protect it from thieves. You should have put a guard. That's why he gave you money for. He gave you money actively to guard it. You didn't guard it? That's something else. So let's take to an example on when we say you by the beach on the sea. If you just gave him the phone and you went in and you didn't pay him and somebody stole the phone and his phone also, right? All he has to say is, I was guarding it. What do you want? He stole my phone also. The guy was sneaky. Couldn't see. But if you paid him and then the phone went and got stolen, he says, no. That's why I paid you. I paid you that you put a guard, not to look over there. The fact that he tricked you, that's your problem now. Pay me the value. But what happens if you come back and the phone doesn't work? So all the guy needs to say, look, I was guarding it the right way. Nobody broke it. Nobody stepped on it. I can guarantee that. I don't need to pay you if it's not working now. How is it my fault? Like it doesn't work now, it wouldn't have worked by you also. If you would sit next to it, it also wouldn't have worked. So far, so good. The logic, we're not going to argue about the logic right now because that's not.
The phone doesn't work. It's not the same as a broken vase. Broken vase, if you put it carefully, it shouldn't break. Phone may stop working.
That's exactly what I said. I put it in the vase, in the safe. I have a proof. There was a camera. How I put it in the vase. Now I open the. There's a camera. We open the vase afterwards. It's all in the camera, and now it's broken. What do you want from me? The same way it broke in the thing, it broke in the thing. That's the idea behind it. Yeah. Okay. So that's the paid guardian. So far, so good. We're going to continue. Rashi says, he explains the case. Ki iten ish el re'eu chamor roshor. Rashi explaining the second case. We're talking about a paid guardian over here. Unlike the first case, which was with the unpaid guardian. לפיכך, since he was paid, אינו פטור אם נגנבה. If it was stolen, he's obligated. כמו שכתוב, אם גנוב יגנב מעמו ישלם. It says, if it was stolen for him with a paid guardian, he needs to pay. אבל על האונס, but if something happens out of your control, I think what the insurance companies over here says, the hands of God, what do you want from us? You know, it was by the hands of God. It's out of my control. It's not something that you can think about. כגון מת מעצמו, you gave him the animal and the animal died, or the vase broke, for our case. Or or nishbar, or it broke, or nishba bechozka al yedei listim, or there was a war, and the enemy, the Ukrainians, the Russians came into Ukraine and took stuff from the bank. It says, what do you want from me? You know, there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, if a regular guy comes and steals, I'm obligated. But the Russians came and conquered Ukraine, that's out of my hands completely. ואין רואי שיעיד בדבר, and obviously we're talking about when there's no witnesses. איש הבא שכנו כדבריו. He cannot say, I'm not obligated. He says he needs to take an oath. He says, let's see if you're really not obligated. Take an oath, and once he takes an oath, then he's not obligated. Let's look at one more case. The case of the borrower. וכי ישאל איש מרעהו, I come over to you and I says, can I borrow your car? Do me a favor, can I borrow your car? I need to go somewhere, so you can lend me your car. So I borrowed your car, ונשבר או מת, שלם ישלם, and it broke, or the animal died, he has to pay. Look over here. Over here, once you borrow something, you're completely obligated. In other words, I took a car from you, I drove it the right way. I have a camera. I drove everything the right way, right? And the car blew up. Psh, the engine blew up. What's the halacha? That's what I said. I borrowed from you an object. I obligated myself in returning the same object to you. If I didn't return the same object back in the same condition, I didn't do what I told you. When I borrowed it, it means I didn't pay you anything, I didn't do anything. So therefore, I'm completely, whatever happens to the car or to the animal, I'm responsible for it. So Rashi says over here, וכי ישאל, if he borrows, בא ללמד על השואל שהוא חייב באונסים. It comes to teach that if you borrow, you're also obligated by things of heaven. A rock came and fell, you parked it in a safe place, and somebody threw a rock from a plane, and it broke the windshield. Says, what do you want from me? How could I? Doesn't matter. You borrowed the car, go pay. Go pay for the windshield. See the difference? When you borrow, you need to pay everything. So far, so good? Let's continue. We're not going to concentrate so much on the last two. I have.
Yeah, well, it's in the person's care, they have to maintain.
That's right.
Yeah, they have to maintain it while it's in their care.
That's right. I agree. We're still going to get complicated soon. We're not going to talk about this so much, but there's also a case of a renter. Im sachir hu, if it is an animal, you rent an animal or you rent a car. So when you rent, the question is, what are you? Are you a borrower? Or it's like you're paying. Like the guy is, you're paying it with money. So it says, if it is a rented animal, it has to come for its rent. So Rashi explains, what does it mean? Im sachiru, im ashor eino shaul el asachur, if you rented the bull, ba bescharo liyad hasocher hazeh. So the merchant, he received money. Velo b'she'ela, and therefore you're not a borrower. So therefore you're not obligated in so much risk now, because you're not borrowing it, you paid for it. Ve'en kol hana'a shelo, and it means that you're not, see, when you're a borrower, the other one doesn't get any benefit. He gets zero benefit when you borrow. Over here, he does get some benefit. Since he does get some benefit, the money that you're paying for the rent, you're not going to be obligated in some cases. So let's see. שהרי על ידי שכרו נשתמש, ואין לו משפט שואל להתחייב בו נושאים. So if something that happens by heaven, if a rock falls and breaks the car, and you parked it in a good place, not your fault. Since you paid for it, it's his problem. Let him deal with it, not my problem. So far, so good. Right. So we're going to read it quickly by Maimonides. All these cases, Maimonides is going to summarize in a quick succession. We're going to read it quickly. ארבעה שומרים נאמרו בתורה, there's 4 guardians in the Torah, ושלושה דינים יש להם, and these 4 guardians are only 3. It looks like 4, but it's only 3 rules. ואלו הם הארבעה שומרים, these are the 4 guardians. שומר חינם, somebody who is guarding for free, hashoel, someone who borrows, nose sachar, somebody you guard for a payment, ve'asocher, and somebody who rents. The ruling for somebody who guards for a payment and the renter is the same ruling. That's why it's only 3. ואלו הם 3 דינים שלהם. And these are the 3 laws when it comes to them. שומר חינם שנגנב הפיקדון, if you guard for free and it was stolen, אין צריך לומר או נאנס הפיקדון אז גדול. For sure, if it was completely by the end of heavens, a hurricane came and wiped the whole neighborhood off. כגון שהייתה בהמה ומתה או נשבת, for example, the animal died, or the army came and it captured it, הרי זה נשבע ששמע כדרך השומרים ופטור. So since he's not getting money, he just has to say, hey, I guarded it the way all guardians do, and he's not obligated. וגונב ובית האיש וגונב ונקרא בעל הבית האלוקים. So as soon as he takes the oath, he's not eligible anymore to pay. השואל משלם הכל, the one who borrows, he always pays, בין שעבד דבר השאול, whether he lost it, או נגנב, or it was stolen, בין שראה אונס גדול מזה, whether something fell from the heavens and broke it, כגון שמתה באמורה שלה, או נשברה, או נשבת, even something happens, the army comes and takes it. כתוב בשואל, ונשבר או מת בעליו, אין עמו שלם משלם. So the one who borrows is completely obligated. So far so good? Let's continue. נושא שכר או הסוחר, so the one who guards it with payment or the renter, שניהם דין אחד, they're both the same rule, אם נגנב או עבד הדבר הסחור, או שנטל שכר על שמירתו, הרי אלו משלמים. So if something was stolen, they pay. But אם אירעו אונס גדול מזה, but something out of the ordinary happened, like we said before, for example, it just broke and you weren't, just broke, something can break after a while. או נשברה, או נשבת, or the army came and grabbed it, או נטרפה, or some lions came at night and they ate it, as long as you protected it good. הרי הוא נשבעים שנאנסה, so all they do is to say, look, I guarded it the right way, this was out of the ordinary, and then he's not obligated. ופטורים, שנאמר, הוא מת או נשבר או נשבע אין רואה, שבועת השם וכתיב, ואם גונב גנב ימי שלם שבלב. אוקיי. נמצאת האומר, so what do we found? The conclusion. שומר חינם נשבע על הכל. That if you guard for free, you take an oath, it doesn't matter what happened. You can take an oath, as long as you weren't negligent, you're good. You don't need to pay him. Okay? שואל משלם את הכל. The one who borrows has to pay everything. There's no oath to make. You borrowed it, I don't care what happened. Give it to me back. And if you can't give it to me back, give me the value back. Right? This is the borrower. משלם את הכל, חוץ, except, there is an exception. I took an X, or I took a car from you. I took a car from you to what? Let's say I took an ox from you. Why? Because I wanted to plow. In the old time, the ox went to plow. So I borrowed the ox, חוץ מן המתה בשעת מלאכה, כמו שהתבאר. And then the ox died while working. I wasn't negligent. He just died. While working, we're going to see, I might not need to pay, even though I'm a borrower. And that doesn't make sense, according to what we said so far. So let's continue. נושא שכר והסוחר משלמים את האבדה ואת הגניבה, ונשבעים על האנסים הגדולים, כגון שבורה ושבויה ומת הטרפה. The guardian for money and the one who rents, they only are obligated on the regular stuff. On big stuff from heaven, they're not obligated. או שעבד הדבר בספינה שטבע בים, או נלקח בסביב חוק יוצא באלה, משאר האנסים הגדולים. So if you want to look at the cases, you can look at the chart right over here. For pretty much the borrower is liable always, the renter and the paid guardian are sometimes liable, sometimes not liable, and the unpaid guardian is only liable when he's negligent. He's only liable when he's negligent, otherwise he's never liable, because he's unpaid. So far so good. Okay. So this is the halacha Now we're going to learn this whole thing. We just need to go over it because we're going to learn this whole thing according to Kabbalah. This whole thing has to do with Hasidus and Kabbalah. So exactly what is going on over here? So let's see. So the Rebbe starts on page number 5. ידוע שקיום העולם תלוי בקיום התורה ומצוות של בני ישראל. The reason why God created the world is because he knew that one day after 2,448 years, he's going to give the Torah to the Jewish people. ונמצא, so what does it mean? What are we as Jews? What is our job as Jews? שבני ישראל הם בגדר שומרים. You remember what Hashem told Adam in Gan Eden? He put Adam in Gan Eden to what? לעובדה ו... Very good. To work it and to guard it. לעובדה ולשומרה. We were put upon the face of the earth to guard. So this is who we are. We are the 4 guardians. And you're going to ask, which one of the 4 guardians are we? And why do we care? And what does it mean? So let's continue. הקדוש ברוך הוא מסר עולמו לרשותם. God gave this world in our auspices. In other words, we are one of the 4 guardians. שהם, what's our job? Our job is ישמרו אותו. We have to guard this world. והדרך שנאמר לעבדה ולשמרה, like it says, to serve it and to guard it. ושמירת העולם, and how do we guard the world? By performing commandments. This is how God told us to guard the world. When we perform commandments, we keep this world in a guarded status. When we don't do the commandments, we don't keep the world in a guarded commandments. Okay, so let's look at source number 6. ויקח השם אלוקים את האדם ויניחהו בגן עדן לעבדה ולשמרה. God took man and he placed him in Gan Eden to work it and to guard it. And the Rebbe continues and says, but there's 4 guardians, and we still want to know which type of guardian are we. ולפי זה יובן גם תוכנן של השומרים בעניין שבין אדם למקום ברוך הוא. So God gave us a job to guard this world. So there are 4 types of guardians, and these 4 types of guardians have 3 types of responsibilities. One more than the other, as we see, right? So let's look at the highest level of guardian. What do you mean the highest level of guardian? Who is the highest level of guardian? Some people serve God, why?
Out of love.
Oh, you're talking high there, like Abraham, very good. Some people serve God, why? Obligation, good. You guys talking very lofty levels. Some people serve God because, I like what you said also, fear, he said, and he said because he wants to receive something. Some people serve God because they want to receive heaven. Some people serve God because they're afraid of hell. Yeah? In other words, they're not shomer chinam. They are not guardians who will do it for free.
So if you do it for love?
It's questionable. We discussed it some other time. But if you have something that you want out of it, it's not free. Okay? Yeah. If love, you want something out or not, different time, different place. But, okay? But the idea here is, someone like Avraham Avinu, why does he serve God? Just because he needs to serve God. He doesn't have an ulterior motive. He is not requiring any payment back. He doesn't want this, he doesn't want that. He doesn't want Gan Eden, he doesn't even want heaven. He's not serving God to go to heaven. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with going to heaven, not going to heaven. He's serving God because he needs to serve God. This is called shomer chinam. He's not looking for anything. He's not afraid of hell. He's not afraid of heaven. That's the highest level. So it says, God gave Avraham a soul also. And Avraham has to guard his soul. And let's say something went wrong and he messed up. So the question is going to be, how responsible is Abraham on the fact that something went wrong with his son? So if he's, what?
Something went wrong with what?
With his soul.
His soul.
Yeah, he did something wrong. Abraham didn't. But in theory, someone like Abraham, if something went wrong and he damaged the soul, God gave him to guard the soul, right? He gave him, here's an object, guard it, right? So he's a shomer chinam, he's guarding it for free. So Abraham says, I'll guard it for free, I don't want nothing from you. So how responsible if he is, if something goes wrong? So God says, you're not responsible. You're only responsible if what? If you were negligent. If something out of the ordinary happened and you failed, you're not responsible. But if you've served God out of something else, it depends how you serve God. You're going to be more and more responsible. And if you borrow, then you're responsible for everything. So we need to figure out, where are we in all this picture? What type of people are we? So let's continue. The unpaid guardian, שומר חינם הוא מעלה עליונה שלא על מנת לקבל פרס כלל. So an unpaid guardian is the most highest one. He is not interested in receiving anything. Why does he guard it? Because God said to God, I'm doing it for you, God. I'm doing you a favor. I love you, whatever the case is. Let's look at source number 7 in Maimonides. So Maimonides actually tells us this rule in page 6. העובד מאהבה, somebody who serves God out of love, עוסק בתורה במצוות, he's performing Torah or mitzvahs, והולך מנתיבות החוכמה, and he goes in the right pathways, לא מפני דבר בעולם, he's not expecting anything, לא מפני יראת הרעה, he's not afraid of hell, ולא כדי לירש הטובה, he doesn't want heaven, אלא עושה האמת, מפני שהוא אמת, he does the truth because it's the truth. וסוף הטובה לבוא בגללה, and in the end it's going to be good. If I'm going to get good, I'm going to get good, but that's when I'm doing it. You know what a lot of people think that maybe they're also in that level. So I'll give you the level so that you can judge yourself. I'm not going to judge for you. You can judge yourself. There's a statement. I know it doesn't make sense, the statement, but work with me. The statement is that if every time you felt charity, you gave charity, you felt like you killed your son. You didn't actually kill him, but that's the feeling. Would you continue to give charity? So Abraham, we know, he proved it. Would Abraham do it? We know, he actually did it. He was willing to do it. The question is, are you going to be willing to do it? You didn't kill him. You just felt like it. Would most people be willing to give charity? Says, no, I want a good feeling. The reason I give charity because I get a good feeling because of it. So we want some kind of reward. We are expecting a reward. We're not going to be like Abraham. We're with God. We're not like with Abraham. Abraham says, God, it doesn't matter what you tell me, I'm going to do. We're with God. He says, God, relax. We like you. We're going to do what you like. But we want something back. Give us a good feeling. Give me inspiration. Inspire me, something. Give me Gan Eden. Maybe if not in this world, at least in the world to come. Yes. Yeah, but he didn't do it for the relationship. Okay. Think about, he even if he would have ruined the relationship, he would still have done it. Yeah, to that extent. You're right. But again, some other time we'll discuss another class to the test. ומעלה זוהי מעלה גדולה מאוד. So the Rambam says that level we just talked about, just doing it for God, forget about it. Regular people like us, we don't belong there. We're regular people. We expect something back. Says God, we're a human being. Come on, I expect something back. Imagine being married. You're married to someone who she's only mean to you. Nothing good. She kicks you, spits in you, does everything there. You want to continue to be, you want such a life? You want to continue the marriage? No, says I'm not very interested. Avraham doesn't care. He says, I'll do it. That's the right thing. I'll continue. I'll do what's right. It doesn't matter what the other side gives me. Okay? אין כל כך חם זוכה לה. He says, not everybody merits such a level. והיא מעלת אברהם אבינו, this is the level of Abraham, שקרא הקדוש ברוך הוא אוהבו לפי שלא עבד אלא מאהבה. He says he only served God because he loved him. There's no ulterior motive. אמרו חכמים הראשונים שמא תאמר, הרי נלמד תורה בשביל שיהיה עשיר. So the sages says, some people learn Torah, you know why? It's a good job. You can become a rabbi. Don't look at me. Some other rabbis make a lot of money, So it says, it's a good money. We can make, it's a good way to make a living. It says, I'm going to learn Torah. Why am I going to learn Torah? So I become rich. Or you know what? Even I don't want to become rich, I want honor. The rabbi gets at least a little bit honor. At least I want that. That's why I learn Torah. בשביל שאקבל שכר בעולם הבא. Some people says, you know what? I'm going to do the right thing. Why? Even though I'm going to get punished down here. Because I'm going to get heaven. It's worth it in the long run. After 120 years, there's going to be many, many years. I'm going to get my reward over there. But he's doing it for something. He's expecting what? Payment. See all these cases? The guy is expecting a payment. Talmud lomar, so the Gemara says, לאהבה את השת. כל מה שאתם עושים לא תעשו למאהבה. It says, God ultimately says, you're not the ultimate guardian. To be the ultimate guardian, you have to do it like Abraham. That's the ultimate guardian. And then Rambam continues, וכן היו גדולי החכמים מצווים לנבוני תלמידיהם ומשכיליהם בייחוד. So he says, this is the statement, אל תהיו כעבדים המשמשים את הרב. Don't be like servants who serve their master for the sake of receiving some reward, אלא מפני שהוא הרב ראוי לשמשו, כלומר יבדו מאהבה. Just because it's the right thing. Do it because it's the right thing, not because you're expecting a reward. If you're expecting a reward, that's not what the true guardian is. A true guardian who is one like Abraham. It's not really our level, but what's the ultimate level of a true guardian. So far so good? Continue. Let's look at us. Maybe, hopefully, Shomer Sachar, someone who is a paid guardian, who העובד על מנת לקבל פרס. He says, God, I'm willing to serve you. But I expect something. What do you mean I expect something? I expect to make a living. I don't want to be rich. I don't want to be rich. I'm not asking to drive a Rolls Royce. But I need a car. I need to go from point A to point B. I expect something. So I'll do the commandments. But you know God, when I do the commandments, I expect something what? I expect something back. I do. I have some expectations. I'll scratch your back. God, I'll do whatever you say. You're the big boss. You're the big owner. But I'm not doing it for free. I do expect you to take care of me.
So rabbis are paid guardians?
What?
Rabbis are paid guardians?
Rabbis? Why rabbis?
Are rabbis paid guardians?
Which rabbis? The question is, what are we? Me and you.
Okay, I understand.
So,
But a rabbi makes a living.
Rabbi makes a living from what?
Being a rabbi. They make a living, don't they?
You say, of course the rabbi is, but forget the rabbis right now.
Okay.
Yeah, a simple person, with you decide the level of connection you want with God.
Okay.
Yeah. So if the level of connection that you want God, do you expect something back?
Do I?
Yeah. Do you? If you're sick, if a person is sick, God forbid, do you expect him to heal you? Yeah. If a family member is not feeling well, you expect him to help? Yeah, right. You expect something. Says God, I'm willing to do everything, but I expect something back. Be a mensch, you tell God. Right? Okay.
In the Shema, they say if you do this, and that.
Very good. We expect
If
it.
you don't,
Exactly.
there'll be a reward and punishment.
That's right. We expect something. In other words, we're not the ultimate. We're not doing for the same reason as Abraham. והפירוש הוא שהעיקר אצלו הוא הדבר הנשמר. In other words, a paid guardian refers to a person who serves God with the intention of deriving benefit from it. I'm willing to serve you, God, but am I going to serve you, God, without Gan Eden? I'm not so sure. If I'm not going to get heaven, I'm not so sure. If I'm going to get hell for serving you, I don't know if I'm going to do something. Yeah? I don't know, I'm not so sure. For such a person, the focus is on the item being guarded, not himself personally. Okay? The renter, some of us are renters. By the way, all of us is all of the things. The question is, where do you spend most of your time? אצל הסוחר זה הפוך. By the renter, it's the opposite. העיקר אצלו הוא השימוש שהוא מקבל בחפץ. See, the paid guardian cares about the object. The renter doesn't care about the object itself. He cares the use of the object. That's why he rents it, because he wants the use. The object he will have to give back anyway. Yeah? מקבל בתור דבר תפל, יש גם את התשלום על הדבר שהוא משתמש בו. And then he has to pay for it. הדרך האומר, עשה לזה לצדקה על מנת שחיה בני. For example, a person that comes to God and he says, God, I'm willing to do anything for you. My son is sick. You know what? I'll keep Shabbos. A deal with God. A person says to God, God, I need help. My, I don't know, whatever, not my son. Somebody else's son, something is wrong with him. I'll be willing to do this and this. I'll put on tefillin every day so that he'll be there. What is he? He's considered to be a renter. Is that not allowed, by the way? It's allowed. You're allowed to say such a thing. Most of us do it whether we like it or not. Did you ever notice? We do it all the time. Yeah? We do it. It's something that we do. We think that way automatically.
Yeah, people that are about to die do that all the time.
There you go, see? כל אחד בישראל, and then there's a borrower. The borrower, as we said, is the lowest level. We're not talking about a non-religious borrower. We're talking about a religious borrower. What's a religious borrower? Let's continue. כל אחד ואחד מישראל יכול לדרוש ולתבוע בצדק. Each Jew can come to God and demand. He can put demands on the table. What's the demands? את כל צרכיו הגשמיים. Says, God, you're obligated to supply me my living. You put me down over here on earth. Why did you put me down over here? To do your work. How do you expect me to do your work? If I'm sick, I can do your work. If I'm worried about my son, I can do your work. I can't do your work. So you're obligated to what? To make sure that everything goes well in my life. It's not I can do your work. I'm willing to do your work. It's not that I'm not willing. I'm willing to put the time. I'm willing to be a good Jew. I'm willing to do all 613 commandments. And you are required to what? To supply good for me. Yeah? Okay. What says why do we deserve it? We're on the bottom of page 7. בגלל היותו בן אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. Since we are a prince of God, we're the sons of God, like we learned in Tanya. We're God's sons. בלא שום פעולה ועבודה מצדו. And God, first of all, I'm your son. As a son, you are required to what? To take care of me. That's the attitude of some people with God. It's a requirement. That's right. I'm your son. Make sure that I can live in this world. על דרך הדעה לגבי הפוסק מזונות לפועל, we're going to learn. This is a halacha. A Jewish halacha, that what? שאפילו עושה להם כסעודה שלמה בשעתו, that even if you give them a feast, like in King Solomon's palace, לא יצא ידי חובה. You didn't do your obligation with your workers. מכיוון, why? Because the Jews are בני אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. We are the son of Avraham, Yitzhak and Yaakov. שמכיוון שהוא בן אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, הרי ראוי לסעודה גדולה מסעודת שלמה בשעתו. So since we are the princes of God, we'll be fit to receive a big reward. Let's see the case. Where do we learn this rule from? Let's look at source number 8. מעשה ברבי יוחנן בן מתיה, שאמר לבנו. There was a case of Rabbi Yochanan ben Matya that says to his son, צא סחור לנו פועלים, go, we need some workers. הלך ופסק להם מזונות. So his son went and says, hey guys, work for us for this day, let's say $100 per day, and we're going to supply your meals. That was the deal. מבלי לסכם בדיוק איזה מזונות ייתן, but he didn't tell them what kind of meal he's going to get. Now there can be, they say the devil is in the details. Says, what kind of meal? They're expecting this kind of meal, and he's thinking about a different kind of meal. Yeah? He says, what kind of meal now he needs to supply to them? וכשבא אצל אביו אמר לו בני, when he came to his father told him, my son, אפילו אם אתה עושה להם כסעודת שלום בשעתו, even if you're going to give them a feast, like was given in King Solomon's palace, those kinds of feasts, לא יצאת ידי חובתך עמהם, they can still sue you. Why? שהם בני אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, because they're the son of princes. There's no limit for what you told them you're going to give them. You just say a meal and you didn't specify what kind of meal. Since they're the princes, they're God's children, you're required to supply them whatever they get, whatever, there's no limit. אלא עד שלא יתחילו מלאכה, run before they start the work, על מנת שאין לכם עליי אלא פת וקטניות בלבד. And tell them, excuse me guys, all I'm going to give you is bread and whatever, bread and stew. Okay? כדרך שנוהגים לתת לפועלים. This is the custom you give to the workers. So let's go to us. זהו העניין השואל ברוחניות. So this is a borrower, someone who borrows from God in spirituality. שכל ההנאה שלו שנהנה מן העולם בקבלת כל צרכיו ללא תשלום מצידו. He says, God, I came to this world, you know what? I'm borrowing your world. This world, you know what I'm going to do with it? I'm borrowing it. I'm using it for my needs. This is something I like. I like this thing, I like that thing, and I'm going to enjoy your world, guy. I'm going to borrow it. See, all the other things, look at it as the object belongs to God, or at least the use belongs to God. When you look at the world, this guy looks at I am doing it for my sake, not for you. At least the other guys gave God back something. This guy only wants to take. He only wants to take. He doesn't want to give. Okay? So let's continue. אלא שכם ששואל כפשוטו הרי הוא קונה את החפץ. So when a person is a borrower, we says now, at the moment he borrows it, it's that if he buys it. Now it's his. What does it mean it's mine? Whatever happens to the object, it's my responsibility. Anything that happens to the object, it doesn't matter if it's from heaven, not from heaven. It's my responsibility now. Whatever I do with the object is my responsibility. Therefore, if something happens, I need to give him the value back. להתחייב בעונשין, even if it's something from heaven that came out. Like I said, a rock came from heaven, a meteor came from heaven and hit my car. And hit the car I borrowed. מאחר שכל ההנאה שלו, because I came into the world and I'm only using it. I'm not giving anything back. This is a borrower. Someone who comes and says, God, I know the 613 commandments. I'm not here to do your 613 commandments. What am I here for? To enjoy the world. To borrow from you, God. That's what I'm here for. Am I playing to pay you back? No. I'm just paying to what? Planning to enjoy the world. כך הוא ברוחניות שמי שרוצה ליהנות מן העולם בלי כל עבודה, somebody who wants to enjoy this world without any service, הרי קבלת הנאה זו עצמה מחייבת אותו להחזיר את חלקו בעולם לקדוש ברוך הוא בשלמות. So God says, you did something wrong with your soul? Something went wrong with the soul? It doesn't matter what happened wrong with the soul. Whether it was your fault, it wasn't your fault, it was semi your fault. You know who's obligated? You. You're the obligated. I'm going to blame you for it. In other words, you have the obligation, 100%. So you can be a borrower. God says, it's up to you which one of the 4 guardians you want to be. The type of guardian you're going to be is the type of obligation you have for your soul. You choose. God gave you a choice to be any one of those 4 guardians. If you want to be like Abraham, you're only going to be obligated when you're negligent. Otherwise, you're not obligated. Something was stolen for you, something did something with you, you're not obligated. If you want to be like the last guy, like the borrower, you just come here to enjoy the world, no matter what happens, even if it came from heaven, it's not your fault. It really is not your fault. You're still obligated. It's up to you. The type of guardian you want to be, that's the way. In other words, you decide the relationship. God tells you. שזהו על ידי קיום התורה ומצוות שבהם תלוי קיום העולם כישראל לוי. אי אפשר לפתור את עצמו בטענת אונס. You cannot tell God, hey, it's from heaven, you know, it happened, it wasn't my fault, I couldn't do it, somebody did it, whatever. I don't know, it's your fault. This is the type of guardian you are. Now, bear the consequences. Okay? So far, so good. We're going to go even deeper now. And this one is brilliant. We're going to see one small halacha. Now, the truth is, let's put the cards on the table like it says. You know which one we are, most of us, including the rabbis? We're the borrower. That's what we here come to enjoy the world. Every day we enjoy things in the world. Do we give back what we enjoy? A little bit more, a little less, but not exactly what God wants. We decide how much to give. Right? The rest of the time we borrow. We're a borrower. We're going to learn in the borrower, there's a loophole. There's a loophole when it comes to the borrower. And since we are the borrower, we'll better know how to use it when it comes to spirituality also. So let's look inside. No, we're going to use it in a good way, not in a sneaky way. It's going to be used in a good way. So let's continue. Source number 9. V'chi yish'al ish me'im re'ehu. If I'm going to borrow your cow, let's say you have a cow and I need to plow. I'm going to borrow your cow to plow. V'nishbar o met. And the cow died as I was plowing. And look what it says. Be'alav anymore. The owners are not with the animal. Shalem yeshalem. I will have to pay. But if I tell Moshe, can I borrow your ox? I need to plow. And Moshe says, yeah, go ahead, plow. So I say, but Moshe, do me a favor. I don't know how to plow. Can you come and sit next to me? Show me how to plow? So now Moshe now comes together with me and we plow together. Right? So now, im ba'alav imo, if you are with me while plowing, if I hired you together, what do you mean? I say, you know what? I'm borrowing the cow, but I'm going to pay you as a worker to show me how to do it. So I'm renting him as what? To show me how to plow the cow. I'm not paying for the cow, I'm paying for his work. Okay?
So if the guy does a favor twice.
No, once he gets paid. Once he gets paid.
And so he had to be paid for work.
That's right.
Because if he doesn't get paid for work, he's doing you two favors.
We're going to discuss that also soon. But I paid him for his work, let's say. In other words, he's together with me while plowing, whether it was a favor or not a favor, we're going to discuss that later on. Then, lo yeshalem, then I'm not obligated. Because why? Because what is it my fault that the cow died? The cow died under his watch, as much as it's my watch. So I'm not really a borrower over here. Usually if a cow died, if I'm a borrower, then it doesn't matter, it's my fault. But over here, since he was with me, then it says I don't have to pay. I'm not obligated. Because he saw that nothing wrong happened. It could have, just like he died under my care, he died under his care also. So far, so good. Let's continue. Maimonides, source number 10. המפקיד אצל חברו בין בחינם בין בשכר, if somebody gave by his friend, whether it was free, whether it was with money, or השאילו, השכירו, or he borrowed, or he rented, אם שאל השומר את הבעלים, if the guardian took the owners עם הדבר שלהם, he took the owner with the object, with the car, let's say it's a taxi driver, or with the cow, or secharan, or he rented them. So if I'm asking Moshe, can you give me a favor? I need your car. So Moshe says, what's the problem? So I said, I need to go to the airport. So Moshe says, I'll take you, but there's only one problem. I can't take you because I don't have my driver's license. So I tell Moshe, don't worry, just sit over there. I'll drive. And somebody else in the airport is going to drive you back. Right? So I'm borrowing the car, and Moshe is with me in the car. I didn't even pay him. But he's with me in the car. And then the car dies. Even though I'm a borrower, I don't need to pay. Why? Because Moshe is right there. He's with the car with me. Right? Makes sense? Okay. הרי השומר פטור מכלום. Since Moshe is together with me in the car, I don't have to pay anything. אפילו פשע בדבר ששמר. Even if I started driving a little bit I went over the speed limit that I wasn't supposed to. Moshe didn't say anything. He let me. Even though, after Moshe tells us, I didn't tell you you can go up to this verse, but you were there. You saw her go above the speed limit. You didn't say anything. So that, even though, הרי זה פטור. It is still not obligated. שנאמר, אם בעלה ואמו לא ישלם, אם שכיר הוא בא בשכרו. So it says, if the owner comes with the object, you don't have to pay. So far, so good? So now you remember us, we're a borrower. We don't want to be a borrower, because a borrower means we're obligated on anything that happens, even of things which is about not in our control. God is going to blame us. That's not nice. So what do? Source number 11, so ספר החינוך says, ועל עניין שאלה בבעלים שפטור, so the fact that when we borrow with the owners that you have to pay, נוכל לומר לפי הפשט שהתורה לא חייבה השואל אחר שבא לכלי או בעלה עמו, מכיוון שהוא שם ישמורו את שלו. It says, since the owner is together with you, obviously if you do something wrong, he's going to tell you immediately. If he told you, and then you did, then you're obligated. But if he didn't tell you anything, that's what do you want from me? He died, right? So now we're going to go back to our case. So let's see what happens with our case. הקדוש ברוך הוא נותן בתור שאילה את הנפש האלוקית, כוחות לאדם. So every morning, this morning, God gave you what? Oh, forget God gave. You borrowed. What did you borrow this morning? Your soul from God. God gave you your soul. You borrowed your soul from God. As one of the four guardians, you borrowed it. We borrowed every morning, we borrow God. Imagine yesterday. Let's discuss this. Imagine God, right? Imagine God is a father. And he says to his kid, I have a job. This is the car. I have a semi-truck. You see, there's 3 things in the truck that has to go to my sites. This has to go to this site, this has to go to this site, this has to go to this site. I'm giving you the car, it's a new car, new Tesla. Charged it overnight, everything is everything is loaded. All you have to do tomorrow is take the car, drive it to the 3 places I told you to drive it to, and unload it. So the first day, you're happy, you're going to help your father, you jump in the Tesla, and you start driving, and you see, as you're driving to the first place, you see a big sign, casino. And you know what? You decide, what? I'm going to take the car. So you take the car, and it's an off-road casino. It's one of those Indian reservations casino. It's not even a paved thing. You take the Tesla, you drive 100 miles per hour on this road, you know, the wheels blow off, this comes off, this, the thing, you completely destroy the car, yeah? And you come back the next day, the father says, hey, what happened? I told you to do all these things for me. And what did you do? So you say to your father, don't worry. Tomorrow, I'll do the right thing. So tomorrow, you wake up in the morning, he recharges the car, he fixes everything, and he says, today, I want you to do what I told you yesterday. Not like yesterday, though. Don't go to the casino and break my car. And what do? We take the neshama, what God tells us to do. He tells us to park it over here, 613 things to do with it. Throughout the day, he told us to do. And what did we do? And he says, instead of this, we go to the beach, we do this, we do that, we do this, with this. And this, we borrow this like this from God every day. And instead of doing what he told us to do with the car, with our body, we do with it, we borrow it for our needs. The neshama. This is what happens.
Are you referencing the 3 daily prayers in this example?
If you want. Yeah. It doesn't have to be many things, 613 commandments. Yeah, no, I didn't mean that. I just gave an example. Yeah. But that's the idea. So we take things from God every day, and he trusts us every day. He says, go ahead, I'll give it to you again. See, if it was your son, you once, twice, after the 3rd time, you never give him the car again. Right? God is not supposed to give us the car every day again, because we don't do what we're supposed to do with it. We just borrow it for our needs, not for his needs. He gave it us to do whatever he needs to guard the earth. And instead of guarding the earth, we're guarding ourselves. Yeah, a whole different ballgame. God gave us this power, this godly soul. Why? He gave us the godly soul so you can win the war against the animal soul. And instead of winning the war against the animal soul, we take the godly soul with us, with the animal souls, to the casinos. ובכל עת צריך האדם לזכור שהנפש האלוקית והכוחות שנותנים לו הם באופן של שאלה. So a person needs to remember every moment of his life that he is borrowing God's. He took something from God and it's only he is borrowing it. It's not his. It's only borrowed thing. שחוזרת לבנים. In other words, you need to return it in the end of the day as good in shape as you took it in the morning. Without any blemishes, without any scratches. In other words, you did the right thing with it throughout the day. בעניין שזהו תוכן החז"ל, הלוואי תהיה יצימתנו רק לפגיעתו. It says, and this is what the sage says, we wish that in the end of the day your soul will be as clean as in the beginning of the day. It says, happy is the man that in the end of the day his soul is as clean as in the beginning of the day. והנה שואל חייב בכל אף באונסים, and it says a borrower, when you borrow it for your own needs, you're obligated in everything. Even if something wrong, not out of your control happened. והעצה לזה. So what can we do? We have a trick now. We can borrow it together with whom? We can borrow it with God. As long as we borrow it with God, then if something wrong happens, we say, God, out of our control, you were there. But what does it mean borrowing with God? Let's see. והעצה לזה שיהיה שאלה בבעלים. We need to borrow it with the owners. כגון שאמר לו השקה אותי מים וכיוצא בזה. At least, for example, when you borrow a cup, you tell the guy, you know what, do me a favor, give me the cup. So the guy gives you the cup. Now he's together with the object. Yeah? Or even on the horse. You say, you know what, you're driving over there, carry this for me. So the guy is carrying for you. He's together with the horse. If something happens to the horse, he's with you. In other words, we need to have God carrying something with us throughout the day. שעניינו בעבודת השם הוא, so what does it mean by us? By us it means we have to ask God to do something for us. בקשת צרכיו מהקדוש ברוך הוא בתפילה. He says, so when a person gets up in the morning, he shouldn't run for his own needs. Borrow the neshama for his own needs. Immediately he should come to God and ask God to participate. God, I need to serve you. Please come participate with me in the serving today. How? How do you ask for it? It says, I need this and I need that and I need sustenance and I need a cup of water and I need sustenance for my wife and this and that. שהוא הבעלים, שעל ידי זה נחשבת השאלה של נפש אלוקית וכוחות של השאלה הבעלים, then it is if God is coming with us for our job for the whole day. במה דברים אמורים, says, when does this help? He says, it's not going to help if you do it after the beginning of the day. We're on page number 10 all the way in the bottom. כששאל הבעלים עושה חרם בעת שנטל החפץ. It's as soon as you take the object in the morning, that's when you need to make the deal. You can't do it afterwards. So the first thing in the day, before you start the day, the deal has to take place. You have to tell God, hey God, come with me. How do you tell God, come with me? Even then, if God is not at the time that it was stolen, as so long as you told her, God comes with me, yeah, you're good. But if the first thing you did is you took the object to yourself, you started enjoying life, and you didn't make God a participant in this endeavor, now you became a guardian, not even a borrower. ואחר כך שכר הבעלים או שעלם, and then you rent God for a different purpose, אף על פי שהיו הבעלים עומדים שם בעת שנאנס הדבר השמור, הרי זה משלם שנאמר בעליו. So let me explain. If I tell Moshe, can I borrow your car? And Moshe says, yes, you can borrow my car. And I say, and Moshe, can you come with me in the car because I want you to deliver something over there? Do me a favor. So Moshe says, I'm willing to. So Moshe is driving now with you, right, in the car. So it's a together deal, those two, because it was in the same time. At the time that I told him to borrow my car, I want you with it, right? But if I took the car, right, and then I came back, and then I tell Moshe, I need you to deliver something over there. And Moshe tells me, this is halfway through the day. And Moshe says, I have no way to get there. So I'll tell Moshe, don't worry, I'll take you. And then I take Moshe to over there. And then something happens, Moshe is not obligated now. Because it wasn't together with the car from the beginning. Then it's a second deal already on the first one. So when you come and you want God to join you in the day, it has to be in the beginning of the day. When you get your neshama first, right there you have to involve God within it. So let's look inside. What does it mean in our life? ויש להוסיף, we have to add, שעבודת הבעלים שעל ידה נעשית שלא בבעלים. So how do we join God to us during our work? צריכה להיות בית השאלה. It has to be immediately in the morning at the time we take control over our soul. ולא בעת האונס. It is not going to work if we do it at the time that something wrong happened throughout the day. Then it's too late. וכן הוא בשאלה שעבודת השם. שלכן אמרו רז"ל, this is what the sage says, שאסור לאכול קודם התפילה. Now you understand the rule why one is not allowed to eat before prayer. Because if you eat before prayer, who are you taking care of first? Yourself. But if you pray to God and you tell God, hey God, I need food in the prayer, then when you eat, and God forbid you ate something which you weren't supposed to eat, it happened by mistake, you can tell God, it's not my fault. I didn't know it was not kosher. How would I know? I thought it was kosher. And God says, you're right. And why you're right? Because in the morning, the first thing you did is you prayed to me to help you. But if you didn't pray for me to help you and you ate breakfast and there was something not kosher over there, not your fault again, God says, now it's your fault. Even though if you want to admit me, now it's too late. If I come before you, then you can join me throughout the day. But I cannot come into the picture after you already took care of yourself. I can only come into the picture before you took care of yourself, not after. In other words, prayer in the morning makes sure that if something wrong happened throughout the day, out of my control, it's not my fault. But if I'm just here to borrow, and I didn't pray in the morning, then something wrong happened throughout the day, it wasn't my fault, God says it is your fault. שלכן אמרו רז"ל שאסור לאכול קודם התפילה ואסור לעשות חפציו קודם תפילה. That's why you're not allowed to eat before davening. No, you're allowed to do any business before davening, before prayer. אלא תפילתי צריכה להיות סמוך למידתי, like it says, davening has to be immediately next to bed. גם קודם תלמוד תורה, even before you start learning Torah. כי אם יתחיל האדם השואל להשתמש בנפש האלוקית שניתנה לו ביום זה מחדש בתור שאלה, קודם התפילה שביקשה צרכיו מהבעלים, לא יועיל מה שאחר כך יהיה בעליו עמו. Because if first you started taking the godly soul to places it's not supposed to go, even though it was a mistake, without involving God, the master of the object of the soul, it's not going to help. לא יועיל מה שאחר כך יהיו בעליו עמו. The fact that God is afterwards with you, that's not going to help. כיוון שאין זה בעת השאלה, because it's not at the time that you took the soul in the morning. In other words, in the morning when you take your soul, the first thing you have to involve God in your life for that day. מה שאין כן אם הקדים תפילתו, but if God, in from the morning, the first thing you say to God, God, I want you involved in my life. That's what you ask God. I have the intention for you to be involved in it. Now, if I'm negligent, I'm negligent. It's my fault. But over here, I wasn't negligent. I ate it by mistake. Wasn't meant to eat something not kosher. God says, you know what? It's not your problem right now. I take responsibility. But if you're only thinking about yourself, you thought about yourself first, you didn't want God involved in your life, you only wanted what's good for you, and then when it happens, you say, God, I want you here now, God says, no, it's too late. You had to involve me beforehand, not after the fact. וזוהי העצה שיש שאילה בבעלים. So therefore, we have to learn from this that when we borrow our soul, we have to borrow our soul and immediately involve God with it. Which means the first thing in the morning shouldn't be business, shouldn't be eating, shouldn't be coffee, shouldn't be nothing. It has to be what? With God. This is why if a person wants to drink coffee before davening, what does he have to do? He has to say the blessings in the morning at least. He has to involve God at least after the blessings. You're not allowed to eat or drink before. Say the blessings, thank God, bring God in with you to the picture. And then if the coffee wasn't kosher, by I don't know how, you didn't know, something put pig over there by mistake, or not by mistake, it's not your fault. You say, God, I did my part. But if you didn't, you just did it only since you're borrowing the coffee just for your enjoyment, God says, now it's too late. Now it's your fault that you ate it. Because the borrower is responsible for everything. So when you borrow something, you need to borrow it together with God. Up to here. We're not all borrowers? No. מתפללים, very good question. If we daven, we're still a borrower. But what type of borrower we are? We're a borrower with the owners. We're still a borrower. But we're a borrower, there's two kinds of borrowers. Borrower without the owner with him, and borrower with the owner with him. So the truth is we are all borrowers. We're not the higher levels. Sometimes we are. I'm not saying never. Sometimes we are. But most of the time, we are the borrower types. Right? Most of the time, that's who we are. So at least when you borrow, that's the message, borrow it with God. What does it mean? Well, the first thing in the morning has to be dedicated to God. So you borrow the neshama, the first thing in your mind, I'm borrowing the neshama together with God. Not for me. If you remind that, the first thing in the morning, you say the blessings in the morning, you show God that you're borrowing the neshama for His sake. You wanted Him in the picture of your life. Otherwise, you're saying, I'm not interested in you in the picture of my life. I'm just interested to take care of me, myself and I, all three of us.